Hi everyone. Okay, so I did a best written characters video in JRPGs and it wasn't like my best hit video of all time, but I feel like people really liked it. So I thought maybe I would do one for anime too, since I know I primarily talk about anime on my channel. So this is going to be the best written characters in anime, period. Now, of course, there's a few stipulations for this. Number one, I have not watched all the anime. I haven't probably watched all the best anime. Like, I still haven't seen Odd Taxi, which I know is like a huge hit with people. So I'm definitely not gonna have every single actual best character, but I'm gonna do my absolute best to put all the best ones I think and the shows that you should watch to see those characters. So if you're like me and you're a really big like character driven person, I also really like world building, but I love a good character who has a good conflict, then definitely stick around and see who I think is good. So number one, we obviously have to talk about Attack on Titan, which like I'm still obsessed with the show. I'm kind of dreading the finale because I have not read the manga. I don't know what happens, but everyone seems to have an opinion and it seems to usually be negative, so I'm a little scared. But I love it, and I actually have a psychology video on Attack on Titan if you want to see that, but for me, I think Attack on Titan has some of the best written characters, and I think the best one is Eren. Like, his character progression has been so interesting, so plot twisting. Oh, I should say spoilers. Spoilers for all of these shows, so I'm gonna put chapters in if you haven't seen a show. Consider skipping because I'm not gonna hold anything back, but consider watching the show because it's good. If I put it on this list, at least I think so. So Attack on Titan Eren, I mean, his change from going from like, you know, a stereotypical protagonist, if you will, to I think, okay, so again, I haven't seen past what we've seen in the anime. I think he's gonna be the villain. I mean, it seems pretty villain-like. I mean, he's bringing a bunch of Titans, they're all on the shore, they're all attacking the town, or not just a town, they're attacking like everywhere. So I kind of think he's the villain at this point. Something would have to really surprise me. So, but that progression has been so fascinating because I was so, like, especially season 1, you know, I was like, oh, Eren, like, he's like this, like, kid that you have to protect and he's like so brave. I mean, I definitely saw some of the traits that led to where he is, but yeah, it's fascinating that the author actually really like focused on those. I think a lot of times authors ignore the negative traits. This one really focused on, from what I've seen so far, the negative traits of Eren's personality, if you will, and Eren's thought process of, you know, this is all bad, this is all good, and how far Eren is really willing to take that is fascinating. I also put Levi because I just think Levi is such a good character. Not as much, well, like, not as much with a conflict, but more just like how he's kind of like closed off, but then he's always there for his team, how he kind of deals with, you know, people, and also his backstory and what led him to be the way he is with like the way he grew up with having, you know, like starvation. His mom literally died in front of him, like all of that. It makes complete sense why he is the way he is, and I just think the author wrote him so well. I honestly think in general Attack on Titan, like, no matter what happens in the plot, the characters are just so good. I can't really think of one that was written poorly, and that's pretty amazing that this author, this guy, like, literally was able to write like so many different people so well fleshed out. Like, the amount of time that must have taken is really impressive. So Attack on Titan has some of the best written characters in anime, for sure. Okay, next we have to go with Violet Evergarden. I know we're segueing pretty big here, but Violet, she is written so well. Seeing her, and again, I actually have a video on this. Something about the really good characters. I always end up making a video, but she was written so well. I mean, you know, you watch her and like the way she reacted to being a child soldier, I think was so realistic. The sort of like the PTSD, the way she's closed off her feelings, and seeing her open back up again is such a hopeful story. And just, yeah, and like the way that you have her have all these different experiences and see her character growth, even if they're really sad, you know, like she's writing letters and she's really learning about emotions, was just written so well. I'm obsessed with Violet. I'm obsessed with Violet Evergarden. Like, so good, so amazing. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Just be ready to cry. All right, next we have Fruits Basket. I also have a video on that if you want to watch more. But I think some of the best written characters in Fruits Basket are Akito. I mean, she's very like nuanced, you know, like she's not like a one-tone villain. And she, in fact, I would say she's not even like fully a villain. It's more she's dealing with the I mean, clearly she has issues, right? Like, clearly she is abusive, and that's not okay. But what I mean is, you can really see the context of how she became the way she is, and you really see her realize that her actions are wrong, which is really cool. Kyo is written really well. I love seeing, you know, his sort of like black sheep story, and how he deals with the dynamics of his I was gonna say family, but I guess it's his family, the Soma family, and the Zodiacs is very fascinating, and you really feel for Kyo, and you really see like sort of the kind of thoughts you get when you're put in that situation, and seeing him develop a relationship with Toru is just so sweet, and I love it. I also have Yuki. Yuki's written really well. You see sort of the other side of being the favorite, the pros and cons, how Yuki really deals with that, and I really enjoyed seeing that. Again, if you want more details on that, I have a video. Toru, which I should analyze Toru in a video. She was written really well. I mean, seeing how she deals with her mom and losing her mom at such a young age, being homeless, and just seeing her develop, like learn to open up and, you know, let someone in, aka Kyo, is really cool. And I just, yeah, again, this author, every character is good. There's no bad character in Fruits Basket. In the anime, I assume in the manga, that I actually haven't read that manga. I haven't read a lot of manga. I just started reading manga like 2 years ago, but just really good. Okay, next we have Chainsaw Man. This is a show I have not mentioned on the channel like at all, and I'm still on episode 10, so I need to finish the season. But the characters have been written really well, and I've really enjoyed it so far. For me, the standouts have been Denji, Himeno, hope I said that right, Aki, and Power. Power cracks me up because she is just very like kind of whimsical, and she always like adds a little like spice to the story. Denji's written well because I think he's kind of written like a teenage boy actually is, and not like an idealized version of a teenage boy. So I thought that was pretty cool. Himeno and Aki are both more like those deep characters with layers that I always really like, and their backstories are really well fleshed out. So I've really enjoyed that as well. Not too much else to say about Chainsaw Man yet because I haven't gotten through season 1 and I need to. So I know I'm slow. I'll get there eventually. Next we have Kotaro Lives Alone. If you haven't seen this, which I think this show's like never really mentioned much online, but it should be because it's really good. Kotaro obviously is written extremely well. So he, you know, seeing how he deals with basically being adultified at such a young age, because he's an only child. So I wouldn't say he was like, he didn't really have to be an older, you know what, he was parentified because of his I'd say his mom in that situation. So you know, seeing him deal with that, seeing him at such a young age have to be like afraid of his father, and but also the happiness of seeing him bond with like trusted adults is very interesting, very well written, and it's 100% like, I think, one of the best written characters in anime. And I hope there's a season 2. So Netflix, if you could do that, that'd be great. Next we have Ranking of Kings. This is another one I have a video on. There you go. Not trying to put all my videos in here, just how it goes. So Ranking of Kings, Bojji is written extremely well. He, like, seeing him deal with, like, everything he's been handed, the cards he's been dealt, and how he really, like, doesn't lose confidence. I think that's a really cool role model for kids. Also, he's just, like, super precious as a character, and his friendship with the little monster guy, I'll put his name, is adorable. I think Healing was written really well. Like, I thought, and this is kind of, I feel like, the whole story of Ranking of Kings, where I thought she was gonna be like the evil stepmother of fairy tales, but she's actually like a very nuanced character, and she has like, she really cares about Bojji, and she, I think, just at the end of the day wants to be a good mom to him. And yeah, I really enjoyed her character as it went, and she wants to be a good mom, speaking of, to Daida, who was also written very well. Again, I think I really enjoy, and I love how, like, there's a lot of nuance to these characters. You don't really have like one bad guy, and you don't really have one good guy, and the reasons that characters do things that you think are just plain evil are usually a little more complex than that, and Ranking of Kings did that extremely well. Next we have To Your Eternity. This season 1, I haven't got to season 2 yet because I don't know if I'm emotionally ready. But season 1, like, I thought the premise was cool, right? I go into it like, oh, this looks like it'll be a cute story. No. I mean, it's a good story, but I wouldn't call it cute. So the first one that really got me was March. That just, like, completely emotionally destroyed me. Like, it was so good, and I'm still not over it. Like, literally, when I was writing this list, the very first person I thought of was March in To Your Eternity. And because you really feel for her. She's such a heartwarming character, and it really reminds you of, like, the unfairness of life, her story, and yeah, just how brief life can be. And I also thought Gugu was written really well. I loved seeing his story of him and Rain, and, like, their love story, and sort of like how it was about more than, like, looks, right, and everything, and how he kind of, like, built this family. And obviously his untimely death was also really tragic. Like, still not over that one either. And then, of course, you got Fushi. I mean, Fushi's written so well. You know, this is by the author of A Silent Voice, which I loved that movie. And you can tell because, yeah, Fushi, like, it's really philosophical. You know, it's like, what would it be like to live for eternity and losing all the people you care about? And, like, it really makes you think about what is the meaning of life. Like, I think that's kind of Fushi's objective as a character, is, right, as you're learning, like, what is the meaning of life, and, like, if you lived long, like, where would the meaning be? And it's just really cool. I've really enjoyed all the characters in that show. I mean, I feel like that whole thing is a lot more character driven than plot driven per se. It's kind of like a philosophical, I don't know, thought experiment almost, and I really enjoy it. So next we have Jujutsu Kaisen. This show is one that I didn't, like, I don't really usually gravitate. Like, I tried watching Demon Slayer, right, and I didn't really like it that much. Sorry to anyone who likes Demon Slayer. I'm sure it, you know, I think the animation's really pretty, but I wasn't that into it. But Jujutsu Kaisen I actually really enjoyed. I think a lot of the characters, it's because the characters are written really well. Like, Gojo I'm still like, what is going on with him? Like, he's like a mystery, and the show really does a good job of kind of very slowly, like, peeling back the layers, if you will. You know, like, I don't know. I want to know more, you know? I want to know more. Itadori, kind of the same thing. His is more obviously of like a nuanced character progression, but he's written really well. And yeah, I don't have too much to say because I haven't seen season 1 in like 2 years. But all the characters sort of have these layers that I'm really looking forward to going back to season 2 and, you know, seeing more about them and why they do what they do. And even like, again, this is another one where the villain characters, not all of them, there are some that are more like, oh, I'm a villain and that's kind of it. But there's a lot of nuanced ones, and even the ones that are villains have like good reasons for why they do what they do for the most part. So I thought it was a pretty good take on like the shonen genre, and I do genuinely enjoy it. Still not my favorite anime, but the characters are written very well, I think. Next, I have Love is War, which I've kind of mentioned. I've just gotten into the show, obsessed. It's so good. I think there's another season 4, and now I can't wait for it. So again, as you probably know, if you watch my videos, Ishigami, definitely, I think, written extremely well. You can watch my video on that if you want my explanation for why. And then obviously Kagami and Shirogane are written really well, and seeing the dynamic of their relationship, will they, won't they, but also in their heads, will they, won't they, is like another layer that's kind of unique and cool, and I think was written extremely well. Miko is written really well, like you kind of see her, I don't know, thought process on things too. And then of course you've got Fujiwara. She's written really well in kind of the same way as I was talking about Power and Chainsaw Man, where she's kind of like just a very good comedic kind of like chaos character, and I always enjoy when she's like in the anime. It's pretty entertaining. So, and she has good reasons for why she does what she does. She has a good backstory, you know. She's like a politician's daughter, and that's why she's kind of like a little more manipulative and stuff. And yeah, it's just written very, very well. Next I have Vinland Saga, which you guys know I love, as I've been reacting on the channel a lot to Vinland Saga. Thorfinn is written so well, and I can say that especially season 2. I mean, season 1 he was written well, but he wasn't like my character I was focusing on, if you know what I mean, as much as other characters. But this season, like, it's like, wow, like you really get to dive into Thorfinn's psychology and like how he reacts to things, and it's just, I think it's written so well and so practically. Einar's written really well for season 2. I really am enjoying Einar's character arc, and there we go. Yeah, I'm really enjoying Einar's character arc, and I think he has a great backstory as well. You really see why he doesn't like warriors, the Vikings, whatever. Everyone's written so well in Vinland Saga, and in season 1 too, you got like Askeladd, one of my favorite characters. Obviously, I don't think he's very likable, but he's written in such a way that he's very intriguing, and seeing kind of his story in season 1 was really fascinating. Canute too, I almost forgot Canute. Canute's been interesting in season 1 and 2. Also written really well. You really see like why he becomes the way he is. Like he, you know, is a little more confident now, and he's more empathetic than he might have been if he hadn't gone through those experiences of like sort of being bullied by the Vikings and being questioned. So yeah, very interesting character. Let's see. Oh, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I mean, you've got to include that one on a best written characters anime list, right? And when I was going through this, I was looking at the character list, and I was like, how do I even choose like a few characters? Because they're all written so well. But I put on here the Elric brothers, because obviously, you know, Rita, Lynn, Roy Mustang, like Roy Mustang, and I think it's Rita. I'm trying to remember all the names. Their relationship was really cool to watch, and I was always rooting for them. And sort of seeing Rita help calm down Roy and help him deal with his like anger issues was really cool, and seeing Roy support Rita was really cool. I really liked Olivia Mira Armstrong because she was like such a strong female character, literally and figuratively, and her brother's dynamic was really funny. Shao Tucker was written well because I literally hate him to this day. And that whole situation, I literally watched episode 3. I somehow was not spoiled on episode 3, you guys. And I had to take a break from the anime literally for a month because it was that devastating to me. I was like, I can't watch it. It was too much. So yeah, literally hate his character. The Elrics, again, I mean, you can't help but root for them. And I think a lot of protagonists are kind of like, whatever. Like, they're more of like a means to the story. But the Elric brothers you really care about and you really like want them to do well. And you kind of like Boji and Ranking of Kings, you know, like you hope for them. And yeah, everyone was written so well in Fullmetal Brotherhood. It's still my favorite anime of all time in general. And it's because everyone's written well, and the plot's written well, and the world building's written well. Like, there's, to me, I'm sure someone has a critique, but to me, there's nothing wrong with that show. It's just amazing. Okay. Next, we have Yona of the Dawn, which is an anime. You can kind of see my poster back there. It's an anime that I think is so underrated, and I get why it is not talked about because it only got a season 1. But you guys should watch season 1. I think that the characters are really, really interesting. I think the beginning is very intriguing, and I've continued with the manga. I think I'm on 31 is the most recent one I read. Is that right? I think so. All I know is the new volume is out. I'd have to look up exactly. I think it's volume 32. I'm gonna have to look that up. But either way, I pre-ordered the new volume. It's possible I lost the most recent one on my shelf, and the manga is just written so well. And I know this is about anime, but like season 1 sets you up for that, and the characters are written very well. But the problem obviously is that it's the beginning, but you should still give it a go, especially if you're open to reading a manga, because like Yona, the main character, is written very well. She's such a great female character too, where she like, you know, she starts out really, I think, very vulnerable, like very like trusting and very like let everyone else do things for her kind of a thing, you know what I mean? Like she's like everyone else can handle it, right? And she's just very focused on this one guy, Suwon. But I think as the story goes on, she really like comes into her own, and it's just a really good story. And Hawk, who's her bodyguard, is written very well, and Suwon is written very well. I don't want to give spoilers, but I'll just say that like episode, I think it's 2, has a really good twist, and you really wonder about the motivations, and I'm happy to say that you will learn that if you kind of go through the anime and then the manga. And I'm still hoping they remake it or make a season 2, because the manga is so good that like people are missing out, and it's driving me crazy. But it's really good, so you should check it out. Next we have 86. I had to reference this one. I love this. This is one of the first anime I ever talked about on my channel. And I think Lena is written very, very well. I think Annette is written very, very well. And so is, I mean, everyone is, but Shin is written extremely well and very interesting character, because he, you know, seeing Shin and all of his struggles and like sort of what he deals with and his backstory with his brother is very fascinating. I think Lena is written really well. You know, the conflict she has to deal with of she has empathy, she cares about the 86, she doesn't see them as 86, she sees them as people, which is great, which is good. But like she has this whole society that's telling her she's wrong. I think that's a very interesting dynamic. And then seeing Lena and Shin's relationship is written really well, very interesting, and I can't wait for the next season. I love it. So next we have Seraph of the End. This is another one. I started the anime, I'm reading the manga. Both are really good. I think the characters are very interesting in Seraph of the End, and my favorite is definitely Michaela and Yuichiro, but especially Michaela. Something about Michaela just warms my heart. But I think their like brother dynamic is very like cool to watch. It's very interesting. I think Gurren is written really well, and you sort of like don't know, I don't know, he's kind of a gray character. You don't really know what side he's on, and it's kind of Attack on Titan-y to me in terms of like the characters are pretty nuanced, even though it's like a very action focused show. And yeah, if you go on and read the manga, there's definitely more, even more to it. But the anime alone is very, very interesting. It does kind of leave on a cliffhanger, but it's good. It's good. Next we have The Ancient Mage's Bride, which is another one. I watched the show, started reading the manga. I didn't know there was going to be a new season, so I'm excited to see that, even though I kind of know what happens. And I think Chisei was written very well. Again, really great backstory. We see why she is the way she is. Elias, written very well. He's got a... I still feel like we don't really understand his backstory fully. He's got a lot of mystery. I think I enjoy characters with mystery. But all the side characters are even written in a way that you like want to know more. Like the author's very good at like kind of making you very curious about everyone. And I think I really enjoy that in a show, even if it hasn't finished yet. All right, you guys, let's keep going. I think we're getting towards the end here. If you are liking this video so far, please let me know in the comments. Leave a like and a subscribe if you want. That'd be great. And we'll keep going. If you guys want, maybe in the future I'll do a part 2, but it'll be a while because this is like my list of pretty much everything so far. I could have forgotten something, but I think it'd be a while before I made another one, but I will eventually, I'm sure, if you guys like it. Next we have Steins Gate. I think a lot of characters are written well in this, especially like the Mei, obviously written very well. Same with Makise and Shina, and I think with Mayuri, you really want to like protect her, right? Okube is written well because he's kind of like funny, witty, but he also like drives the story really well. They all just have a very like, they were written well and more of a likability factor. Obviously the plot I think is more of the driving factor in this show, but the sort of the comedic elements and the it's almost like more of the way they all interact together is what's written so well to me. It's like the dynamic together and the wittiness of it all. I really enjoyed. So next we have Golden Kamuy. You can watch my video on that. But obviously I think the characters, yeah, I mean, you've got is written well in like a sort of plot driver way, but then you have like a Sherpa, who's one of my absolute favorite characters. I think learning about her culture is really interesting. Seeing her deal with like her father, like, okay, this will be spoilers through season 3. I haven't seen season 4, but her reaction to like her father I think is only going to be more interesting. I don't know if she quite knows yet, but sort of like that relationship and like her wondering about it, even that has been interesting. Seeing her build a relationship with Sugimoto, like someone outside of her culture, and all these other people, has been very fascinating, and her sense of adventure I really appreciate. Ogata is written very well. I don't, as you might know if you saw my video, I don't really like Ogata, but that's not because he's not written well. He's written very well. He's a very interesting character. He's a great backstory. I can see why he is the way he is, even if I don't like it. And I think that's a good character, you know? Let's see. Kuro, I can never say his name. Kurokanke? He's written pretty well. Aki is like my favorite character. Because he's just so like sweet and loyal, and I appreciate that in a character. But again, written very, like, I think the thing is, I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. Oh, Lieutenant Tsurumi is written very well. The reason I keep saying the same thing over again is because it's kind of like all their backstories are good. You really see them, like, why are they the way they are? And you can tell he really, really thought about it. It wasn't just like, oh, I don't know. Like Surumi, when I saw his backstory in season 3, I was like, it makes total sense why he is the way he is now. Like, why he's kind of like, I don't care about anyone else. And like, you know, because everything he cared about was destroyed to me. So yeah, I love it. Love that show. Amazing. Let's see. Oh, and then last but not least is, actually, I'm going to put 2 more. I have 3 more. I have 3 more. There's some where I was like, should I put them in the video? But I'm going to, because why not? So one is Blue Period. Everyone in that show is written really well. I think my favorite, let's see, probably, I can never say the name. Ryuji, Ayukawa, is that right? I hope so. But here, I'll show you a clip, but she's really interesting. Her situation and her dealing with her family, dealing with sort of her self-worth issues, and her relationship with Yatora Yaguchi is very interesting. Also, just seeing Yatora like try to be an artist and the weight of trying to create when it's not practical, you know what I mean, which I completely understand, is something that I think is very relevant to a lot of people in today's society. I have a video on it if you want to watch. You know, when we're in sort of this society that encourages creativity, which I know is ironic, but I'm saying it, but it encourages creativity only for the sake of money, is not always ideal, and it kind of harms creativity in a way. But yeah, Yatora, seeing him sort of like find his own art style, seeing him deal with the stress of like, okay, I need to get into this school, and the limitations he faces versus other students who might have more privileges, is a really like worthwhile story to me, and I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a very underrated anime that you should check out if you haven't seen it. Next we have Legend of the Galactic Heroes. I have a video on that. Everyone's written so well in that show. Like, I think obviously to me the 2 like protagonists or antagonists, if you will, are the best written, but like, and I've said this in my video, but I'd say the female characters aren't so well written, but the male characters are written so well. Yang and Lohengram are written very well to me, especially. I also really like Julian. I think as I've gotten into season 3, he's written very well. Like, seeing him always want to, you know, get the approval of Yang has been interesting. It makes sense why he's that way. But yeah, Yang and Lohengram are interesting because it's cool to see like how they react to different things, how they're both sort of becoming in positions of power in very different ways is really interesting, right? Like, Yang doesn't really want the power, it's being like thrust upon him, and how does he react to that? He just wants to live a peaceful life in a cottage, whereas Lohengram really wants power to protect his family and friends, and when he loses that, he's kind of like, well, what's the point? So they're both interesting. I love it. I'm very interested to watch season 4, which I have not yet, and I need to. Last but not least is a show that I've just started watching recently, which I know is crazy, and it's called Code Geass. I've only seen season 1 so far, so don't give me season 2 spoilers yet. But Euphemia was written so well, and Lelouch too, and like, see that scene at the end of season 1 was brutal. When I saw it happen, I was like, this is not happening. Like, I did not see that. I feel like I've seen a decent amount of anime now, but I was like, I did not see that coming. And like, her death and just all of it, like, but her character was just, you really cared about her. She was so heartwarming. And Lelouch is interesting too because he's such a neutral character, but he also, like, I think it's interesting to see how he cared about Euphemia, but he was still gonna do what was best for the country. I mean, at the same time, what she was doing was pretty awful. So at that point. Not that it was her fault. So yeah, I'm still fascinated by what happened. I'm interested to finish season 2. And I think it's written really well, really well. It's still holding up in 2023. What year is it? No one knows. So yeah, let me know if you guys liked this. Definitely please consider leaving a like and comment, and a subscribe if you want. Maybe I'll make one about anime movies too. I guess this one's really anime shows. So let me know if you'd be interested in that, and I'll see you guys in the next video.